I call the Township of Aleppo Commissioners meeting to order on May 16th, 2022 at 7 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
President Jones.
Present.
Commissioner Guerra.
Present.
Commissioner Haluka.
Present.
Solicitor Stone.
Here.
Manager Patterson. Here.
This meeting, as all meetings, will be recorded, uploaded to YouTube, and available to anybody to watch anytime. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of May 9th?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Chief?
Good evening, everyone. All right, for the month of April, a pretty quiet month. There was a total of 89 calls. 57 of those were EMS assists. Wrapped up in there, anything that in 11 traffic citations. The only thing that would really affect the community at large is, pets running loose, that kind of stuff is what we've been answering calls for here and there. Keep your dogs on a leash, please. Other than that, with the Blackburn Road Bridge being closed down, a lot of traffic's coming up your way, right? So officers, and that's part of the 11 traffic citations, and just recently some more. Just asking the community to slow down, keep an eye out. I think there's a lot of traffic that's going to be going this way until at least September is when I think they said that would be going on till. So you watch for increased police presence along Redgate and in Deer Valley here, and we'll monitor traffic the best we can. Okay? Any questions or issues for me?
Just a quick question out of the last meeting, actually. The 57 EMS assists, is that two things, all of Aleppo, and does it include Masonic?
Yes and yes.
Okay,
It
so
includes
that
Masonic
all
Village.
medical calls at Masonic.
All of Aleppo and Masonic Village, that's all wrapped up into one.
Okay, that answers the question.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay?
Welcome, Commissioner Williams. Always have to say it, Chief, anything the community can do for you, slow down. Slow down.
Slow down, everyone, right? That would be great. Other than that, nothing.
Any other questions?
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you very
All right,
much.
thank you very much. Have a nice
Be
night.
safe.
Emergency Management,
No report? That's a good thing.
Public Works,
Good evening. Not a whole lot to talk about. Standard stuff, cleaning catch basins, cutting fallen trees. We took the salt spreaders off of both the trucks. Earth Day was a big success, I think. We picked up a lot of garbage. I hope everybody noticed the beds out here, all redone, remulched everything. We got rid of the old rider. The purchaser came and picked that up the day after the bid was over. And hopefully tomorrow morning the old spreader will be gone.
Nice.
Any questions?
We've been selling those things via municipal and
Sure.
they're falling under the threshold that was approved to have to come for board approval, so.
I'm sure they more than paid for the landscaping.
Having success with the sales so
Yes,
far.
yeah,
so.
we have. We've done pretty good with a few of them. That's it.
Any other questions for Public Works?
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you very much. Communications,
No report.
Planning, Zoning.
The zoning ordinance has been sent to Allegheny County for their review. There's a 45-day review for that. So that clock has started. We have not yet advertised the official ordinance for adoption. That has to be advertised no sooner than 30 days before and no
less than 30.
no less than 30 days and no closer than 7 days before.
No
the-
closer than
So
7.
that's on schedule to be adopted, or to be advertised. So we're still aiming for the target date of June 20th, which is the June legislative meeting for the adoption. If that stays on track with everything that we have so far, there'll be a court reporter here because there'll be a public hearing before the meeting for that ordinance, and then you'll go into the meeting and then can adopt it at that time if you choose. And I will be sending out, I'm working on it now, sending out letters to all of the property owners whose properties are changing zoning districts. It's not required when you do an entire zoning map change, but I think it's a nice step to let people know that their properties are changing zoning districts. So we're gonna be preparing the letter and sending those out to people. So that might get some comments and some interest in the zoning ordinance and the map. So they're gonna be sent a copy of the new map and, you know, with a reference to where they can find the draft zoning ordinance so they can read how it may change for their properties.
Can you elaborate a little bit on the purpose of upgrading the zoning ordinance?
It tackles any new uses that have come up since the last zoning ordinance. For example, things like short-term rentals, Airbnbs, that wasn't really much of a thing when we did our last zoning ordinance, and it certainly is a thing now, so it addresses those kind of changes. It catches anything that we may have missed on the other one, any errors. And when you redo a comprehensive plan, like the ASO plan that we did last year, the natural thing is to then update your zoning ordinance to reflect any changes from that. And then the zoning map changes come from comments and discussion that we have received from the public over time about how they would like certain uses available or allowed in their neighborhoods. And so the new zoning map is reflecting some of those changes, changing some zoning districts to change what's allowed in certain districts.
And the last time this was updated?
2012,
Good. So it's roughly every 10 years.
yes.
I think they recommend even like every 7 or 8 is the standard, but I mean, people go 15 and 20 too, so
Right.
you're very current.
But things like mini towers and B&Bs, et cetera, they change, times change.
And things change faster today, these uses, than they did even 5 years ago. So, I mean, keeping up with uses is really, it's a challenge.
And once this is finished, then we are gonna move on, we budgeted for and move on for an update of the subdivision and land development ordinance. But I really can only have one of these things flying at one time. So we're gonna finish out this process before we start that's known as the saldo ordinance update.
And the process or the procedure for amending the zoning ordinance is by state law. It's under the municipality's planning code. So these deadlines for advertising, sending to the county, they're all set by the code. And we're following that. Our planners and I am working together to make sure that we follow all the advertising requirements and we meet all the deadlines. The only thing I wanted to add is, so if there are changes, if we do get input from people and you decide you want to make changes or you don't like something that's in there, that does require that we re-advertise, but you can make those changes. So it's not as if the effort to solicit input is disingenuous. I mean, there's nothing that says we have to adopt this at the first hearing, is what I'm trying to say.
And that, in 2012, we got some resident feedback that prompted some changes, so, yeah.
And we did do that, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
We extended it by, I think, at least 30 or maybe 60
Yeah.
days. But I would emphasize that your planning commission has been working on this for better part of a year, right? Maybe more? More. So a lot of thought has gone into it, and we've already taken, or the planning commission has already taken a significant amount of input from interested parties.
I know it was a lot of work, I just wanted an explanation on camera for people that are watching or people that will watch later. Okay. Any other planning and zoning issues?
Still the vacancy on the planning commission. I sent out the digest earlier today that talked about that, so I'm hoping that that'll bring in some interest from some residents about
And it's
that.
on the webpage?
It is.
Thank you. Tax collector treasurer.
You have Clay's report, balances in the accounts if you'd like. The checking account, this report says $1,056,255.33. I have since transferred money but this is the amount as of the end of April. But I have made some banking transfers since then. The main reason we have so much money right now is, and you'll see on this chart also, is that almost all of our real estate taxes have come in. And so normally it takes, 3 months for them to come in, and they pretty much all slammed in right away. So I don't know, the mortgage companies are paying us quickly this time or something like that. But, so we have collected a whole lot of our real estate taxes already. So that's why we have so much right now up front. Then that's the main bulk of our income for the year. So then from that, we live off of that for the rest of the year. So that we won't see any more months with this kind of deposits or income.
Yeah, I think if you take a quick look at the page she's referring to, the property tax budget's $475,000 for the entire year. We've already collected $451, and I'm sure more will trickle in. And the other major revenue source is earned income tax, which is also ahead of the game. So there's nothing here that points to something we need to be concerned about yet. And what's the status of the audit?
It is almost finished.
Good.
Yeah, he's waiting for 2 reports from our pension actuary, and then it's very close to being finished. So we got started earlier this year, and we're finishing earlier this year. So the presentation will be, once it's finished, then Mark will come in and give the presentation.
And the township engineer did their annual tour of the roads in the township and have been asked to update the requirements for our public works reserves relative to roads. So we'll have an update on that probably within a month. And that's primarily because asphalt prices are crazy. Bidding is very difficult, has been very difficult. We have some projects coming up, so we just wanted to update that as well. All right, any further questions on the tax collector treasurer? Finance, do I hear a motion to approve the April bills?
Motion to approve April bill list in the amount of $91,697.55. To ratify April prepaid bills in the amount of $17,253.13. And to ratify April payroll transfers in the amount of $17,340.84.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Aleppo Township Authority.
No report.
Gwen, have we heard anything from Mr. Wickley?
We have not.
Okay. Quaker Valley Ambulance Authority.
Just a quick little thing. This is the 50th anniversary of Quaker Valley Ambulance Authority. Both Mary Carolyn and I are on the committee. We're piecing together some type of celebration that's going to involve some community education stuff, maybe some CPR classes, some open house stuff. And we'll keep you abreast of further developments. It's in October, so there you go.
Thank you very much. Quaker Valley COG.
Really no report. The 65 corridor is beginning to bloom, and we'll be having a final report out. It may be out right now, I just haven't seen or heard of it yet. But originally, they were talking about the scope of the corridor being from the more or less McKees Rocks Bridge to Rochester. Well, we've been approached by, what are they, Beaver? Butler. And they're talking now about extending it from Rochester on up about another 30 miles. But that's about all I know. I think that'll change a lot. Who knows? But they're trying to be, I think that it's, a lot of people are now recognizing the 65 as a really valuable asset that's sitting there and hasn't been done for a long, long time. And I don't know whether you've been driving down toward Pittsburgh, but in the Bellevue stretch of 65, there's probably been 6 or 7 new businesses open their doors in that short stretch. Brand new Starbucks business, they ripped down a service station, put up a Starbucks. There's also a bank right next to it. So I think there's a lot of people who are recognizing what's happening, and this will bring about some, what's the word, continuity. But until that, we'll have to wait for the next chapter.
Thank you very much. Gwen or Commissioner Williams, have you heard anything about the utilization of the glass recycling bin?
I did hear something at my meeting. They had 2 extra pools than they originally thought, so it's being well used. The glass has been cleaned, so people are not polluting that dumpster with stuff other than glass. And the executive director's report said that it's successful enough that they're opening a second glass recycling dumpster in the COG. It's going to be in Avalon Borough, so if you feel the need to go in either direction, now you have two options within the COG to recycle your glass. So that's at the Avalon Borough Building or Avalon, somewhere in Avalon at 629 New Brighton Road. So not on their borough building, but.
Good.
Oh, and also one other thing, the waste management facility tour had to be canceled because of weather. So if anyone is still interested in going and touring the recycling center, that has been rescheduled to June 1st. So if you're interested, let me know and I'll sign you up through the call, through Patrick.
Mr. Solicitor,
I have no report.
thank you. Unfinished business, Swifty Heights Drive parking regulation and island control requests.
Waiting for a letter from Tim.
So there was a meeting with the Manor will respond, and we're waiting for that response in writing. Vacancy on the Planning Commission has already been discussed.
Yes, and that, I'm sorry, it reminded me that I did receive 2 emails expressing some kind of interest, but I have not
Good.
processed those yet. So I mean, I
Good.
couldn't even tell you the names, but hopefully we'll get a lot of interest.
Any new business? I think perhaps the Act 537.
Sure. So the Act 537 plan has been, the amendment that the township was required to do has been submitted and has been advertised. So the public comment period is beginning for the amendment. So that was advertised, and the notice is in 2 locations on our website. And so if anyone has any interest in reviewing that plan or having comment on it, we have a copy here in the building that is available for review in the building anytime the building is open. It's here no matter who's here. And so within 30 days, the comment period ends June 16th, I think. I can't quite see the calendar. And so then we wouldn't receive any comment. Then the engineer would process those comments and provide any response available to them. Then we would then start the adoption process by resolution. So the ball is rolling. So if anyone has any comment about that, bring it to us.
Mr. Solicitor, would you describe a little bit about why we are doing this?
Do you have a few hours? I said I had no report. Now you're making me talk. All right, so our 537 plan, we've had at least two versions of a 537 plan that go back maybe 20 years. But one of our 537 plans, or the most recent 537 plan, was an amendment to the prior plan, which DEP never approved because there were issues that arose as a result of our public sewer project. And because of that, there was a dispute between our engineer at the time and DEP about whether the 537 plan had been adequately amended and adopted, the most recent version. Because of that, we agreed with DEP that version of the plan we should redo, and we should do it in compliance with DEP suggestions. And as a result of that meeting with DEP and the suggestions that they made, we authorized our new engineering firm to go ahead and perform what DEP hopefully will regard as a valid amendment to the prior ordinance. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay.
So for anybody listening or anybody that views this in the future, your comments are welcomed, and you can review the copy right here in the township building. Any other discussion about new business? Seeing only one citizen,
I already spoke.
is there an executive session required?
Not for me.
Meeting adjourned.